Mr. Jack.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as the last questioner today, Mr. Walls, I think you're not going to need any more Diet Mountain Dew after this. But do you, just one thing, just to kind of bring this entire hearing back into the perspective, just to help us understand and this committee understand the policies of your administrations. We'll start with you, Governor Walls. Do you accept U.S. code, which establishes that improper entry into our country is illegal and enforceable by the federal government?
Improper entry, meaning not asking for
illegally crossing is an illegal act, yes, and therefore a criminal act.
Civil in some cases, criminal as the government does it, yes.
Thank you. Governor Pritzker?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure, no question. Just establishing that your administration respects that U.S. code believes, U.S. code affirms, and your administration believes that improper entry into our country is an illegal act and therefore criminal.
As the federal code says, we believe it, yeah, and we follow it.
Thank you, Governor. And Governor Hochul?
Depends how the federal immigration authorities enforce it. Sometimes it's civil, sometimes they do it on the criminal side. It's up to them to make that determination.
Thank you. One of the reasons why we just want to establish that is, with respect to illegal immigration, I mean, you were elected in your states, but your state's policies affect my state in Georgia, affect my constituents in Georgia, because when you create policies that incentivize illegal immigration, incentivize folks crossing illegally and being criminals into our country, it challenges, it presents challenges to us, and it presents challenges to our ability to protect our constituents. In my district, every single person on this panel, Republican and Democrat, has a story, a painful story, about how an illegal immigrant or many illegal immigrants have taken lives of those within our districts. In fact, in my district alone, in Columbus, Georgia, Dr. Malcolm Goodchild was killed by a drunk driver illegally here in our country. Of course, we talked about Laken Riley. My colleagues have done that ad nauseum. So we also talk about the financial burden that's associated with those of us that represent folks in Georgia and your states as well. In Georgia alone, I just want for the record to note that $563 has been associated with the increased costs and increased burdens of my constituents because of illegal immigrants within our state. In our closing time, Governor Pritzker, we had Mayor Brandon Johnson testify before us, and I know you've at times expressed concerns about how he's run his administration in Chicago. I'm just curious if you support one of the things we talked about in this committee, perhaps you prepared for it, was a directive that he sent to Chicago police directing them not to cooperate with federal law enforcement enforcing immigration operations. Do you support that action from Mayor Johnson?
I support actions that follow the law of the state of Illinois and the federal law.
Do you think Mayor Johnson has done a good job with respect to law enforcement in his city?
Law enforcement has improved markedly since the choice of Larry Snelling as the superintendent of police in the city of Chicago.
What grade would you give A to F Mayor Johnson with respect to law enforcement in a city?
I wouldn't grade the mayor. I will say that Larry Snelling is doing an excellent job as superintendent.
Thank you. Governor Walz, I think you bring an interesting perspective to this conversation because you were just a candidate for national office on a ticket that lost. Exit polls from 2024 show a clear bipartisan majority of Americans trust President Trump to effectively handle immigration. Recent polling affirms Americans overwhelmingly support President Trump's immigration policies by a 30% margin. Even CBS published a survey that shows 6 out of 10 Americans say it is very important to deport illegal aliens. And of course, we've established that anyone crossing the border is, in fact, a criminal. So, Governor Walz, I'm just curious, given Americans' overwhelming support of President Trump's immigration policies, do you believe your record on immigration is one of the reasons you lost the vice presidency?
Congressman, I'm not familiar with the polls you're talking about. I can only speak to Minnesota that there's an anger about how it's being carried out. No one disagrees that we need an immigration reform and we need to fix it. What they don't see is whether it's a United States Senator being taken down for asking a question or whether it's a 4-year-old girl with cancer being sent out of the country. Well, that's the frustration.
Put another way, I'm just curious. I mean, you were on a national ticket that lost, and I'm curious, why do you believe, what issues do you believe you failed to litigate properly with the American voters?
Oh, I'll let history relitigate that.
Fair enough. And I'll just close, Governor Walz, if I could. You know, one of the concerns that's been raised about why illegal immigration was so bad under President Biden is that he just cognitively was not there during the end of his presidency. When did you first become aware of President Biden's cognitive decline?
I don't have the expertise to judge on that.
Did you have conversations with Vice President Harris at any point about his cognitive decline?
Not that I can recall, no.
With that, I yield back to our chairman. Thank you for convening this hearing, and I appreciate your attention to all of our communities that we serve. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, gentleman. Yields back. Because we had some wave-on members on our side that went over,